Hi, I'm Dean Walker. I'm the founder of a small organization on the interwebs called Living Resilience. Living Resilience has been around for about 12 years now, and our job is to offer resources and support and practices for people who are aware of the human-caused collapse of Earth and human systems that's going on now more than ever. And how this shows up, this living resilience stuff, is primarily on our online community space, the Mighty Networks space, in which we store our online courses and other resources that are available, including deep dives, special focus series on various topics that are very, very timely and influencing our world right now. There are also the videos that we post here and videos and written material that we post in the Substack environment. So likely you're watching this in the YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel again is called The Poetry of Predicament. So enough on the introductions. This particular video is one that I actually regret not posting back when I first saw it, which was approximately March of 2026. Right now, this is being posted in August of 2026, and it is an interview with James Talarico and Stephen Colbert in anticipation of Talarico's participation in the race coming up in November, the voting time for that race in November. It is with great honor that we relay this interview as was posted by Stephen Colbert after he was forbidden to post it in his regular show time slot and channel. So it's being posted, and you may well have already seen it on YouTube somewhere because there are a whole lot of folks that have posted it since March of 2026. I'm posting it now, and I believe it will be just as valid after the race is over and the vote is tallied in November of 2026. These are times of extraordinary difficulty and challenge and basically fascist dictatorship here in the USA that affects life around the world, and obviously, most importantly, in the USA. And so it is here in this kind of venue that we will continue to make our stand and relay the stand of others against this kind of fascist dictatorship, both against the corporate forces that are driving it all with their money and intention and power, and of course with the government structures that are doing the same thing. This is a very, very important time, and we are particularly aware of a recent declaration that was posted by the US government approximately 9 months ago, called the NSPM 7, the National Security Presidential Memorandum, that expanded the enforcement responsibilities of agencies like ICE and far beyond ICE against the US citizens who declare any sort of anti-government, anti-Christianity, or anti-capitalist thoughts or opinions in their daily lives in whatever way they express that. If you're anything like me, that sends chills down your spine, because what that means is that in any search of any of our social media, any of our private communications, email, and so on, we will be subject to arrest if we have expressed those kinds of anti-government, anti-Christian, or anti-capitalist sentiment. You will undoubtedly see the roots of what I and we are talking about. Obviously, Talarico and Stephen Colbert at a far larger scale than anything I will ever have and most YouTube providers will ever have. But now we can help out in our own small way. If you're looking for a way to find kindred spirits to sit in circle with, to, figuratively by Zoom or literally in your own town or family or neighborhood, we hope to be of service to your efforts for the collapse aware and collapse acceptant communities. You might not call yourself collapse aware or collapse acceptant, but we are all facing what seems to be a screamingly obvious human-caused collapse of both Earth and human systems. I think that's pretty inarguable at this time. And what we've seen time and again in our work with many, many people is that most of us don't come from families that had anything like the skill set that it takes to stand up to that kind of collapse or this kind of fascist dictatorship or this kind of censorship and so on that are now so very present in virtually all of our, at least in the US, all levels of society and culture. So it is with great pleasure that we relay this now few months old interview, and I hope you will, after you see it, pass on the link to others in your life to just get the essence of what both of these people are saying. I think they're both extremely courageous. They're also obviously extremely privileged. They're wealthy and they're able to put out this kind of message and have large scale influence. But truly, this is a time for alignment at every level of our culture, even for folks like myself and perhaps you, which we have far smaller influence, far less wealth, far less power. But we do have neighbors and we do have loved ones and we do have communities and we do have a dream of something more fair, something more equally distributed in terms of empowering the human experience around the world. These times of gross inequity are clearly unsustainable and clearly with its fascist wrappings will bring tremendous pain and perhaps large-scale death in its wake. And you will understand more if you will stick around with the material that we make available on the Poetry of Predicament YouTube channel, and also in our coursework in the Living Resilience online community space, which both of those links are available in the show notes below this video. Thank you very much for your interest and for whatever you're doing to stand up in your own way with your family, with your loved ones, with your community, even if that is just growing a garden or learning music and whatever is at your core to express in these times, express when everything around us, everything of power anyway, is committed to crushing individual sovereignty, individual center, and also community building and more of a collective center as well. So whatever you're doing to maintain and have that center flourish in yourself and in your community, bless you. And we look forward to being of service to you and your loved ones at some time in the future. Enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joining me now is a representative in the Texas State House who is currently running for the United States Senate. Please welcome to the Late Show YouTube page, Representative James Talarico. There you go.
Thank you.
Now, here's the thing. I don't usually say this to a guest, but if people are watching this right now, it's because they found us online on YouTube. I did an act of the show that's on tonight explaining why. It's not the first time you've caused some drama. FCC opening probe into The View after appearance by Talarico. Do you mean to cause trouble?
I think that Donald Trump is worried that we're about to flip Texas. And Stephen, this is the party that ran against cancel culture. And now they're trying to control what we watch, what we say, what we read. And this is the most dangerous kind of cancel culture, the kind that comes from the top. They went after The View because I went on there. They went after Jimmy Kimmel for telling a joke they didn't like. They went after you for telling the truth about Paramount's bribe to Donald Trump. Corporate media executives are selling out the First Amendment to curry favor with corrupt politicians. And a threat to any of our First Amendment rights is a threat to all of our First Amendment rights. So I'm just,
To fact check you, my network said our cancellation was a purely financial decision.
Got it.
And yes. I remain very grateful for the last 11 years. Now, you grew up in Texas.
I did.
Here you are.
I did.
There you are. You can prove it. They give you the adult boots as a child, and you're supposed to just grow into them, I understand.
That's right.
You served in the Texas House, and now you're running for Senate. The race, frankly, should not be as interesting as it is. Donald Trump won Texas by 14%. Why do you think this year Texas is considered a possibility by Democrats?
Well, I'm an eighth-generation Texan. My family has been in our state since it was Mexico. And across...
So you're going to get deported, is what you're saying.
Across the state, there is a backlash growing to the extremism and the corruption in our politics. And I have traveled every corner of Texas already, from El Paso to Beaumont, from Amarillo to Brownsville. And we've had thousands of Texans showing up to rally with us. And I can't tell you the number of people who come up to me at the end of these events and whisper, "I'm not a Democrat," like it's some kind of secret. And we've recruited 14,000 volunteers who are out there doing the work all over our state. This is one of the most exciting parts. We have shattered grassroots fundraising records, all without taking a dime from corporate PACs. And so this is really it's a people-powered movement to take back our state and take back our country. And I feel like we're building something really special in Texas, and clearly Donald Trump has taken note.
Now, one of the things that's come up in some of the conversations you've had on the Texas State House floor, which some of the videos I've seen you do, and one of the things that's gotten you attention out there is that you are a Presbyterian seminarian. Presently?
Yes.
You're a seminarian?
Yes.
Okay. The right attempts to co-opt Christianity, to say that, you can't believe in God, you can't believe in Christ. I think that Donald Trump might have said something like that at the National Prayer Breakfast, like you can't actually be a Christian and be a Democrat. But the religious right is largely a political movement that references spirituality, but it's a political. What is your heartfelt hand out to the people who want to use religion as a tool of political power?
Well, for 50 years, the religious right, a political movement, that is the perfect description for it, they convinced a lot of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. Two issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, two issues that Jesus never talked about. Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers, how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting Republican. It was all about how you treat other people. Don't. I've said before, don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. And I think in our faith, we've got to get back to those fundamentals. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. And when I was little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion. Not an easy religion, he would always clarify, but a simple religion because Jesus gave us 2 commandments, love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. Love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation or immigration status or religious affiliation. And it's why I have fought so hard for the separation of church and state in the state capitol in Texas, because...
Well, I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, please.
Because you did, as a state rep, you fought against a bill requiring the 10 Commandments to be displayed in schools.
That's right.
Why, even on that level, do you think it's important to keep the separation, not just for the state, but for the church?
Well, because we are called to love all of our neighbors, including our Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, agnostic, atheist neighbors, and forcing our religion down their throats is not love. And it's why I've fought so hard for that sacred separation in our First Amendment, because my granddad, he raised me to believe that that boundary between church and state doesn't just benefit the state or our democracy, although it certainly does, but it also benefits the church. Because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice, its ability to speak truth to power, its ability to imagine a completely different world. And so this separation between church and state is something we have to safeguard. It's something we have to fight for. And I think we need someone in the U.S. Senate who is going to confront Christian nationalism and tell the truth, which is that there is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. It is the worship of power in the name of Christ. And it is a betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth. And I just want to thank you, Stephen, because I know you're not a politician, but you have really shown people in this country what Christianity should be and what it means to actually live out the teachings of Jesus, even in a talk show.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. That's very nice of you to say. I would never lay that compliment to myself, because I think I fall far short of what my standards would be. But I will agree with you on this. I think that it is bad for certainly my church or any religious organization to associate themselves from a political party. Right. How must it diminish God to be associated with something so small as a present political party?
That's right.
Because imagine this. Imagine that you managed to co-opt Christianity. Imagine if you managed to convince everybody that Jesus is on your side. If you then lose the election, sounds like you've got a pretty weak Jesus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the key, is you don't want to fit the big thing into the small thing. Mm-hmm. And God is the biggest thing there is. And so to try to fit God into a political party, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, you've got it reversed. Mm-hmm. And so it's why I think we have to remember to put those big things first, to put the love of God and the love for our neighbors before anything else. Because right now, what you've got is people baptizing their partisanship and calling that Christianity, when in reality, your politics should grow out of your faith, not the other way around.
Now, there's been some attention on your race in recent weeks after a TikToker that you met in person says that you privately said to them, and I want to get this quote, and they attribute to you, right, This person says, you said, I signed up originally to run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable and intelligent black woman, supposedly in reference to Colin Allred being the black man, and you've denied this.
Yes.
Okay. You denied that you ever said that.
That's correct.
Okay. Allred continues to talk about it, even though he's no longer running for the Senate, correct?
Right.
So where does that stand? How do you, as someone who this person says this about you, you say it didn't happen, how do you imagine this gets adjudicated, and what would you like to say to people?
Yeah, I mean, we know that misinformation spreads on the internet, and it's sometimes like a game of telephone. As I said in my statement, I did critique Colin Allred's campaigning as mediocre, but I would never attack him on the basis of race. I respect Colin Allred deeply, even though we have disagreements on the best way to campaign and the best way to win Texas. My job in this moment is to try to lower the temperature, is to try to remind us that we are all on the same team, trying to change the politics of our state and change the politics of our country, because we are seeing the consequences of losing elections as we speak. And we have a moral imperative to win in November in Texas and to win across this country, because that's how we're going to get things back on track. And so I know things get tense in a primary. I know stuff flies around on the internet. I understand that. But I'm trying to get us all to keep our eyes on the prize, which is remembering we're on the same team and getting out there, doing the organizing work so that we can win in November.
Have you spoken to Colin already?
I have. I call them after all this stuff came out and everything started to blow up, just to reiterate what I said in my statement, that I do respect him.
And how did that conversation go?
I don't want to reveal anything in a private conversation, but I hope that he and I walked away with a better understanding of each other.
Now, you're serving in Texas House of Representatives. You've had your fair share of strange days. I understand you had to weigh in on legislation about, and I hope I'm reading this correctly, furries.
I did.
Now, I know what furries are, and is that the same furries that I do not use my work computer to search for?
That's right. Yeah, when I ran for public office, I never thought I'd be talking about furries in this job. But my Republican colleagues in the state legislature, they were promoting an internet hoax that Texas public school students were identifying as cats.
Yes.
And
I heard this story.
Yes,
I read the story.
And that the schools were providing litter boxes to those students. I know.
My understanding is it's not just Texas, it's everywhere in the United States.
It's an epidemic. What I hear. Yeah.
Biden signed a law that had to happen.
Yes, forcing litter boxes in every classroom.
Yes.
Anyway, they decided to write a bill to combat this completely made-up problem, and it fell to me as a member of the Public Education Committee to question the author of that bill. And so I just asked him a pretty simple question. Has there been a single documented case of a school providing a litter box to students? And he couldn't name one. And this video went everywhere. You can look it up online.
So the law was working.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's exactly right. He actually kind of said something similar to that.
Yeah.
His response was that this law is to prevent that from ever happening.
Oh, I understand.
Which I guess
Sure.
that's true. But anyway, there is a point to this craziness. They want us talking about furries and bathrooms, so we don't realize that they are picking our pockets, that they are closing our schools, they are gutting our health care, and they are raising taxes on all of us while they cut taxes for their billionaire donors. The culture wars are a smokescreen, because the real fight in this country is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. Thank you, sir.
Just one last thing before we close up this particular video here on the Poetry of Predicament. And that is not only for political purposes are we backing and promoting and relaying this important interview between Stephen Colbert and James Talarico. There's actually something that for me personally is even more urgent than the political concerns that are on the surface level, even the relatively deeper but still surface level on which Talarico and Colbert just spoke. And that level is the Christian Nationalists, the Christo-fascists, the Heritage Foundation, and all the associated satellites of Christian nationalism, including white Christian nationalism. Uh, I have a deeper fear by a long shot of these Christian nationalists, these Christo-fascists, more fear about them, more concern about them in the long run than I do about Donald Trump and his um, kind of lunatic fringe people, his sycophantic underlings and so on. They're corrupt and they're horrible influence in every conceivable way on our government and on international relations and on it goes. But what I have a concern about is the Christo-fascists, the Christian nationalists, the Heritage Foundation crew. Um, they smack of uh, a remarkable film series in these past few years and also book from quite a while ago, A Handmaid's Tale. And this book is extraordinary. The film, the series was extraordinary, is extraordinary. And I recommend highly that people watch it and read it and do whatever form is best for you. This is a group of people who are far more organized and far more sinister, I believe, than anything that Trump is doing. And again, not to underestimate or understate the damage that Trump's doing and his corruption. But there's something that America really doesn't have a clear picture on yet, I think, at scale. There are a few pundits, a few journalists, a few experts in all things political and even some religious experts that can see and they speak about the shadow elements in the Christo-fascists. And I I just must say that it is this type of character, the James Talarico type character, who is from a religious seminary background. He is a Christian of a kind that even I, an atheist and an anti-Christian for the most part, I can understand him and I can see an integrity with what I understand to be the word of Christ, the words of Christ, and the really the beating heart of what is called often called Christianity in our culture, that which is antithetical to what is being offered, being promoted, and is evidently the foundation of the Christo-fascists. They are not Christians in any way, shape, or form that I, as a relatively neutral observer, can see. So it's very important that I added that because they really don't make a point of that in that interview, as beautiful as it was, as strong as it was. And my strong recommendation is if you don't know quite what I'm talking about, whether you're a Christian or not, I recommend highly that you find a way to read some kind of condensed summary of Project 2025 and the subsequent documents as well. They really lay out in quite bold fashion what they're up to. And I, again, request all of us to be as informed as possible because that is really what's driving this train that includes ICE, this train that includes international relations, that include murder at sea, and on and on. The incredible embargo of Cuba that gets absolutely no mainstream journalistic attention at all. And on the list goes. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And this will give you just a little bit more flavor of some of the elements that we present here in Living Resilience as kind of a contextual overlay that is so often missing in much of our media, not just the legacy media, but even the alternative media, is missing big important chunks of what's driving this administration into an extraordinarily destructive, shadow-driven place. Thank you.